everybody, it's Sean for The Good Dog, and this is The Good Dog's Q&A Saturday, episode number 144. Guys, it's good to be back. It has been a long time. I don't know how long. It's been months and months and months. Took some time off. Have been doing this for several years. I'll say I was burnt out, but was definitely tired. The grind of having to make sure there's a show every week, that everything that goes into like creating all of the information, all the notes, all the details, then shooting it, then editing it, and then uploading it and distributing it, and blah, blah, blah. So it ended up just being kind of one of those things where I was like, it'd be good to take a little break. So I did. So we're back, and I can't make any promises how often this will be, how consistent will be. It will be. I know in the past it was like every week without fail. I think we're going to try and take a little bit more of a lenient tack with this. So we'll see how it goes. I'll try and be as consistent as I possibly can. As you all know, my very best girl, Belle, passed away just a couple days ago. So this one's a little bit of a challenging one to share with you guys. A lot of me didn't want to do this, and I don't mean because I didn't want to share. I just wasn't sure if I was going to be up for it, and wanted to make sure coming back out to do Q&A that that I had all the right stuff as far as like presentation wise, and that it felt good, and that it was fun, and had some flavor of the old stuff, and wasn't a big melancholy thing. So forgive me if it's not crazy high energy, but I've worked really hard in the last couple of days to try and get my mindset in the right space. So I want to thank you all for one, so much support, like a crazy outpouring of support. You guys have been so kind, so good, so generous, so supportive. Just, you know, between the Facebook pages and Instagram, just so much wise counsel, so much just generous stuff. So I appreciate you so much, and it actually does have a huge impact. So you might think you're just writing a comment. I might not say. I look at every single comment, even if I don't get back to it. I look at every single comment, and they all have an impact. Some have huge impact. There's been some comments that have really helped a ton. So don't be reluctant to share with me or anybody else that you think might need it. It's a challenging one. As you guys know, we were super tight. That was my girl. As much as everybody knows Manny as being kind of the star of the show, Belle's really kind of the glue and the golden girl here, who you could always trust to do the right thing. And so I think I'll probably post on Sunday a little bit about like what went down. I haven't shared yet kind of like how the last couple days went. So I might share that depending on how I feel. I'm still kind of vacillating back and forth, but it was definitely a very heart-wrenching situation. So anyways, just so you guys know that I'm not just kind of like putting on something. I'm super aware that it's hard right now. I'm super aware that my heart hurts. I'm super aware that this isn't going to probably be the most vibrant, but I also knew that I promised you guys that I'd be here and that we would start again. And I'm going out of town Sunday for a week to do canine intervention. So I didn't want to say, yeah, let's get everybody's questions and then poop out on you guys, even though I know you'd all understand. So anyways, much love to all of you guys, and much love to my sweet girl Belle. Like I said, canine intervention, we're going up to Seattle, me and Ashley Spentek, and our trusty Abby, our trusty photographer and film crew all in one, Abby, and she'll be going along with us. So we'll be working with the family on their dogs. So this promises to be another fascinating thing. I know you haven't seen any video from the last one, but there will definitely be video from this one. We're still trying to kind of figure it out. And let's see what else is going on. It's been like, God, it's been so long. I'm trying to remember how to do all this stuff. Like, I just how to get like all plugged in and everything like that. I'm hoping it all works. The shirts that I talked about going live and being available for purchase, we ran into a bunch of technical issues with our websites talking with the other fulfillment websites, and so it really set us back like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and our web guy's been working night and day trying to get it ready. And truth is, by the time you see this, unless something dramatic and traumatic happens, they'll be available probably around noon. I don't know what time this will actually get edited and done because I'm way behind. I couldn't shoot yesterday because I was just not in the right space. So I'm going to shoot tonight, try and edit tomorrow morning, and then get it out to you guys as soon as possible. But the t-shirts, the Lead More, Follow Less, and the one with Manny on it, the Pitbull Advocacy shirt, Judge Me by My Actions, Not by My Breed, will be should be available in men's and women's tomorrow at noon if all goes well. So I'm really excited about that. It's unfortunate that the timing as far as everything else going on isn't like, yeah, but I am really excited about that, and I think it's going to be the beginning of some really cool merchandise that we're going to do in apparel that will help kind of push this mission forward. So that's exciting. And in other really exciting news is, a lot of people have been asking about this, and I'm starting to really put the notes together, but Love Them by Leading Them Volume 2. It's close to, like, it's not close to being done, but it's close to, like, I'm gathering the information, I'm putting it all in a pot and stirring it up, and starting to pick like the best pieces, what's going to be the next kind of like addition, the next journey, the next direction that we take. You guys responded so well to Volume 1, and so many trainers and owners got so much value out of it that I'm super excited to get Volume 2 out, and I already have all of the pieces of it. I already have all the content, I already have all the subject matter. Of course, I'll probably rewrite and tweak and adjust and do all that stuff. We've got some cool ideas for the layout and all that stuff. But anyways, so those are kind of the big ticket items going on right now. So once again, forgive me if this isn't like crazy explosive energy, or if I'm not super funny. Trust me that the reason I'm here is because my heart is trying to get into a good space, right? So I'm really trying to kind of push through, do some work, keep my head in a good space, and I know by helping and getting this out there, this will help me as it helps you guys. So, but it may not be the most fun-filled extravaganza. Anyways, let's move into the show, guys, and see what we got. Oh, real quick before I jump in, typically we do 5 questions. It's been so long that I decided to kind of like break my own rules, which we'll see if I regret it or not. We're going to do 10 questions. I'm going to try and like boogie on through, and we'll see how we do. So see how far we get. All right. Let's I don't even know, I don't even remember the intro, like besides what I said. I don't know if I'm supposed to do some fancy like, and let's get into the show. We're just gonna get into the show. So Q&A episode number 144. Good to be back. Let's rock and roll with the show. Question number 1. Let's rock and roll. So I'm not going to pull this off the iPad because it just was going to take too much time. So I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying we're going to do this a little bit different. It's be a little more off the cuff, a little bit more brief, a little bit less like just reading everybody's questions straight down. So I'm just going to rock and roll with this. And if you guys like it, you like it. If you don't, you can turn it off. So this one comes from the Good Dog page. Mimi, her dog knows the commands. She's trained through food and other things and knows all the sit, down, place, recall, all that stuff, but isn't responsive on e-collar. So this is a really important question, and I started I started the show off with this one because it's such an important one to tackle, and I think it's one that's very easy for a lot of people to mess up, and it's really important that you don't. So we don't want to give e-collar training a bad name because of a lack of information, ignorance about the approach or strategies or anything like that. So it can be very easy to feel like if your dog knows the commands, sit down, place, recall, heel, whatever it is, excuse me, let's get rid of that coffee, by using food, food lures, things like that, that once you put an e-collar on, you should be off to the races, right? No. The whole thing is the e-collar sensation is completely novel, completely different, a totally different sensation than what your dog is used to. Your dog is used to something that's not touching them if you're using food stuff and just using, lures and reward for that. Once you put an e-collar on, even if your dog knows the command, all of a sudden they're distracted, they're concerned, they might be worried about this, like, what is this thing? I don't know what to do. And if you don't teach them what to do with that e-collar pressure, it doesn't matter how many commands they know, it's very easy for your dog to be confused. So I want any of you out there who are looking into doing e-collar work or are doing e-collar work, and you're kind of like figuring this out on your own, take your time, be very careful, and think about this very clearly. Regardless of what your dog knows beforehand, none of that matters. E-collars give no directional information. They're novel, they're unique, and they feel different. So you start pressing buttons and giving commands without any guidance, and your dog's going to freak out, most likely, or shut down and just not do anything. So always have a leash on your dog. If you're doing big long line recalls, you can do long line stuff. But typically, just have a 4 to 6 foot leash on your dog. So when you say sit and you press the button, because you shouldn't just be correcting your dog, you should be conditioning your dog at lower levels, sit, and a little leash guidance showing him what you want him to do with this pressure, because the pressure doesn't tell him any direction, doesn't say anything. He's heard sit before, but never with this feeling on its neck, so he's like, I don't know what to do. So what I'd like you to do, Mimi, is take a step back, forget that your dog knows all the stuff. It's great that he does, because it will help the process move along more quickly, but that's predicated on you doing the right work, which is leash on your dog, starting slow. Don't expect miracles. Don't expect your dog, because you did the other work, to just like blast through e-collar training, and start with one exercise, place, sit. I would go to down last, something like that, and use the leash. Use low-level e-collar training, use low-level e-collar work, and then you want to basically whisper with the leash. Don't heavy-hand it. Don't yank your dog around. Basically, if you're doing a sit, it's going to be sit, press and hold. You say the command simultaneously, and then guide very gently with the leash up. Dog's butt hits the ground, leash pressure goes away, button goes off, mark it with good. That's how you do it. Now you start to generalize that to a bigger picture. Same thing with down. So it's down, leash pressure down, very gentle, low-level e-collar stuff. You don't want to blow your dog's mind. We're not saying like, you know this, and bang. We're saying like, here's how this works. Here's how this pressure works. When you feel this, I want you to do this. And then your dog will eventually go, oh, it's the same thing, but they need that connective tissue. They need to understand what to do with that e-collar. So your basic thing was, my dog knows this stuff, but he's not doing it. It's not because he doesn't want to. It's not because he's being a brat. Most likely it's because he doesn't know what to do with it. He knows what to do with it if you remove the e-collar and just do food. But if you want off-leash reliability, you have to go through this whole process of teaching your dog, and you'll be moving faster, like I said, but you need to teach your dog how to do all the commands with a leash to guide them, to give the e-collar directionality, because without a leash, there is no directional guidance from your e-collar. Okay? Slow down, take a few steps back, and just, like I said, move real slow and guide your dog with low-level pressure. Pressure goes off when your dog finishes the command. Mark it with good. Take your time, maybe do a command or two every couple of days. You might find yourself in a very different space. And that goes for any of you guys out there that are doing e-collar work and think because your dog knows it on another tool that he should automatically transfer it to the e-collar. It doesn't work that way. So, but you can move. Oftentimes you can move faster because once the dog puts the pieces together, they can kind of jam with it. So, but that's up to the dog. So don't think you're going to jam on it. Just move slow and patient. All right? Hope that helps. Okay, gang, so we've got question number two, which is from the Good Dog page. This is from Alexis. How to convey, so she wants to know, how do I convey to clients that tools, prong collar, e-collar, so on and so forth, are non-abusive? Great question. So how do you do that? Well, the best thing to do is by not trying to sell somebody on it, not trying to teach somebody about it over the phone, not trying to convince somebody in person at the dog park, not trying to like show your personal demo dog and like, look how good he is. The trick to helping, and I don't mean trick in a manipulative way, the trick in the way of helping people understand more comfortably without any pressure is teaching them through videos. Just show them the results over and over and over again. Show them, teach them, make it your mission. How am I going to use videos to more properly educate potential customers, clients, what that training looks like? Whether it's prong collar training, or whether it's e-collar training, or whether it's both. Show them what it looks like. Do 10 videos, 20 videos, 30 videos, do a whole series on e-collar training, a whole series on prong collar training. How do you think I got here? That's all I did. Everybody I know that's doing well has done that. They've made teaching, sharing, and being generous and educating a big part of their overall marketing approach, but also their empowerment approach. There's a lot of people you may never meet that may watch your videos and do great stuff. But there's going to be a lot of folks that are going to be like, oh, wow, she's so generous and she's so good and I love the way she trains the dogs and look at the results and that's amazing. And I want her. So there's a very simple answer, and the simple answer is education. The only reason somebody wouldn't want to use a prong collar or an e-collar is because they don't understand it and their perception is it's going to damage their dog. Show them otherwise and you got a very different situation. And especially if you do more than 1, 2, 3, or 4 videos. You put out a whole plethora of videos and people are like, wow, that's awesome. I want some of that. So that's my suggestion. It's what's worked for me. It's what's worked for a ton of other trainers that I know. And it's also mission centric. It's about beyond your business. It's about helping to push the message forward about balanced training and tools and help educate people. So I hope you go for it. Hope you put yourself out there. Hope you take the risk and the challenge and aren't afraid of what somebody might say, and just put your work out there and teach and add value. And I think you'll find that people will be like, hey, I want some of that. All right? Let me know. Okay, so we've got question number 3. And let's see if I can keep this stuff nice and snug. Question number 3 is from the Good Dog page, and this is Nancy. Where to start? She's got separation. She's got, I think, 2 shepherds with, I think they both have separation anxiety, and one has dog aggression. And so her question was like, do I go after the separation anxiety? Do I go after the dog aggression? And first and foremost, anytime there's like a big thing like dog aggression, just trying to tackle that without any leverage. When I say leverage, I mean like relationship leverage, foundational state of mind leverage, like using all the little moments to teach the dog, like don't monkey around, pay attention, abide by the rules, all that stuff. If you're not leveraging moments like that, and then you try and go out and like go for the World Series, you're really asking for a hard time, and you're most likely going to set the dog up to fail. So let's get away from like, let's tackle this big issue, and let's go for Let's create a foundational, fundamental, leveraged, comprehensive training approach to where the dog is respectful, polite, looking to you for information, and super courteous and super dialed in and tuned into you when you ask for something, rather than like conditioned to be like, well, I'll do what I kind of want. Like, you don't want a dog aggressive dog being like, I'll do what I kind of want. You want a dog aggressive dog being like, what do you think, Mom? Right? Does that make sense? Like, it's so vastly important that a dog that makes bad choices looks to you before they make those bad choices. So that's the first thing about the dog aggression. As far as the separation anxiety, obviously that's a heavy duty thing, and that's something you don't want to continue on. That's something you don't want to let go. That's something you want to tackle as soon as possible. And let me see if, let me just check. I just want to make sure I got my notes right. Yeah, so, okay, so, and there's a reason I wrote some of these notes, because it's really easy to kind of like lose some of the juicy stuff that I don't want to lose. So leverage, relationship leverage, having your dog take you seriously and making sure your affection's in the right place and your discipline's in the right place is also going to help separation anxiety. So rather than, once again, just going after the separation anxiety, which can oftentimes be a symptom of the other things, just as dog aggression can be, you want to make sure you start creating leverage to where you've got a really good shot at making some great stuff happen for your dog. If you just address, like, what I really want to get across is that if you just address the issues without tackling any of the other stuff, you're just going after symptoms typically. And then that means that all the kind of like simmering stuff underneath just keeps simmering. Now, with separation anxiety, our protocols are super simple, and I think someone else has got a separation anxiety question in here, so this will probably be a little repetitive, but it's really simple. You know, we put e-collars on dogs, we put them in crates that they can't break out of, we reinforce the crates, or we use an impact crate, and dogs are on e-collars, they've got a camera, we watch them. Any scratching, any whining, any howling, any barking, any trying to bite the, you know, bite the wires, or bite any part of the crate or destroy it, gets a correction firmly. We want to suppress, shut that pattern down, that pattern of, I want out of here, I want this, I want to do that, and really put the dog into a gear where they're like, I'll just sit tight. Now, that presupposes that you're going to use a great crate, and if you don't have the money for a really expensive crate, then that means you've got to use zip ties, you've got to reinforce the crap out of your crate and make sure it's rock solid, leash clips around all the, you know, the doors on the crate to where your dog can't get out. That's like, if you watch any of our Q&As, you know that's how we roll with that stuff. The thing is, what can be pushed will be pushed. So crates that give, have flex, dogs will keep pushing until they break out of them. E-collar, we recommend the E-collar Technologies Educator Mini. Super affordable and a really like nicely put together e-collar for the money. 100 levels, literally 100 increments to where you can find just the right spot for your dog. It'll go through walls. You can be in your living room, you can be watching on a baby cam or a drop cam or FaceTime or whatever you might have, and your dog starts to like do some stuff. You just tap, you don't need to say no, you can be in the other room. Your dog's just going to connect that moment of behavior with the consequence and go, that behavior is not so rewarding, maybe I'll do something else. So that's the approach for that. Let's create leverage comprehensively. Let's create solid, healthy relationship. Let's not spoil, let's not baby, let's be firm. Let's set the tone to where your dogs are thinking about like, I better mind my P's and Q's. Everything gets easier from there. I'm not saying it'll be a piece of cake, but everything definitely gets easier. Don't do that stuff, everything's way harder. So those are the protocols that I would suggest for separation anxiety. For dog aggression, that's something that's a whole other kettle of fish, and we don't really have time to get into right now. But don't go after it straight away. Create leverage and see what you get. All right? All right. Okay, so we're not exactly flying through here. You know my style tends to be a little bit more thorough. I'm going to try and jam. Okay, I don't want you guys to be like falling asleep here at the wheel, but it is the first Q&A back, so maybe give me a little, cut me a little slack. I'm rusty. Okay, so question number 4. This is from Angela, and it's on the Good Dog page. So, okay, this is a cool question. So, Angela is a trainer who's fairly successful. I want to say she's in North Carolina, maybe, something like that. She's moving 2 hours away, and she wants to know, how do I transfer my business? So she's successful here, but life has come up and she's got to make some changes. How do I successfully transfer my business or build a new business in a place that I'm not even in yet? Excuse me. So I'm not struggling, for the first 6 months, the first year, the first 2 years, all that stuff. So as somebody who's built a location completely across the country where I'm not even at most of the time, I know of what you speak. I've also consulted and helped a lot of trainers as they've kind of built their thing and how to build their thing. Especially what you're talking about is not an uncommon thing. Like, hey, I'm moving. How do I get some momentum in a new market that I'm not in currently, right? So, of course, I wrote you some notes because that's how I roll. So, first, I would create a separate website. So for us in New Orleans, we have a completely separate website, separate URL. I don't want people going to our LA website and being confused by it at all. So we created a separate website, separate URL. So the one in LA is thegooddog.net. The one in New Orleans is thegooddogtrainingneworleans.com, I'm pretty sure. And so we want to keep them separate. That way people get a very non-confusing experience. If they're looking for dog training, they don't want to go to thegooddog.net and be like, these guys are out in LA, what's going on here, right? So you have to think about, from a consumer standpoint, what's going to feel clear, what's going to make sense, what's going to make them feel safe and trusting, right? So first of all, launch a separate website with a separate URL. Take the time, put it together, make it a badass thing, and it can look very similar to your other website, but it has to be a separate website. There should be talk about that area. There should be talk about, you know what I mean? You should make it, how do I put it? You should make the content, some of the copy, photographs, if you can get down to that place, specific to that location, right? So on my New Orleans website versus my LA website, there are pictures of me and my team training in New Orleans. So that makes it feel very New Orleans. If I was just showing pictures of Los Angeles, that wouldn't make sense for people. Conversely, if I was just doing Los Angeles and I had pictures of New Orleans and my team in New Orleans, people would be like, what is this, right? So if you can get down there and you can shoot some shots around, like especially some locations that have a little bit of familiarity with people, that people in the area would be like, oh, that's the town hall or whatever. That's going to connect with them that you're in that area. So that's the first thing. You need to get SEO started. SEO can take a considerable amount of time. Search engine optimization. That's how people are primarily going to find you, right? There's other ways they're going to find you, but like, I'd say about 75 to 80%, maybe more, of how people, or when people say, how did they find us? It's through Google search. And that means we've done good SEO work. So the SEO work means that when people search, you don't come up on the 4th page or the 3rd page or the 2nd page. If things are going right and you've done your job well, or your SEO person has done their job well, then you show up on the 1st page. And if you're really lucky, you show up in the first 1 to 5 search queries. And so people are looking, they're like, oh, I need a dog trainer, wherever they might happen to be, say they're in New Orleans. And if I'm in the top 5, I've got a really good shot of somebody taking a look at my website. If I'm on the 2nd page, not so good. So and that takes time. It doesn't, you don't just like kaboom and burst on the scene and everybody's like, oh, she's here, great, fabulous. SEO takes time to build, and there's a whole bunch of techie stuff involved with it. I highly suggest that you search out somebody that knows a whole lot about SEO to make sure that you leverage that to the highest level. So, okay, individual website, SEO. What else do I want you to get into? I would love to see you start to customize Facebook videos, right? And you can put them on your YouTube channel as well. You can make a broad kind of base out of this. But what I want you to really specifically think about, and this might sound like a lot of work, but there's a reason I was able to go to New Orleans and have business down there. And that's because we had a shit ton of videos, and those videos, a lot of them made their way to New Orleans, and that was even before we really had our targeting down. Now Facebook targeting of ads is so, like, I don't want to say easy, but it's so incredibly detailed that you can say whatever city you're going into, say, who knows what it is, it's Kalamazoo, North Carolina, right? Which there isn't one, but you're going into Kalamazoo, North Carolina. You make 10 videos, and a couple of them are like, hey, it's Angela, and I'm so excited, I'm moving into the area, I've been a successful trainer in North Carolina, and I can't wait. I'm moving into, you know, however you want to word it, but I'm moving into your town, or I'm moving into town in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 1 month, whatever it is. And I can't wait to meet you guys. Anybody who's needing help with their dogs, I'm so excited to have the opportunity to try and help you guys. So that's an example, just like off the cuff. Of course, you can make it far more eloquent than that, but then you can take that video and you can go into Power Editor, and especially if you got somebody that knows how to do Facebook ads, you can learn it yourself, or you can hire somebody. Then they can go in and target a 30-mile radius, a 50-mile radius of that area that you're moving to. Dog lovers, people who own pit bulls, people who watch Dog Whisperer, people who like Petco. I mean, like, the interests of what you can dive into are incredibly detailed. And I'm not saying what I just listed is right up your alley, but just to give you some idea, if you're searching between, like, say 50 miles with all those interests, and your video is going to come up in those people's feeds, there's a really good shot that they're going to start to get to know you. Now, if you do a steady campaign, and then the next week there's a second video, hey, it's Angela again, and this time I want to show you a little bit of some of the work that we do. You know, I work with a lot of dogs like this, and I'm really excited to be able to help people make the big transformations with their dogs where they've been challenged in other situations or where they've been stuck with other trainers. So check this out. This is Fruit Loop, and Fruit Loop is a crazy doodle, and it's a good name for a doodle, and he came in jumping and growling and mouthing, and check him out now, and like, right, so there's another video, and you target that same video to that area. So what you have now is you kind of have this, and there's other pieces, but I don't want to go too long here, but so you've got a website that's specific to the area, pictures, everything looks right for your area, so people don't feel like you're, you know, flying in just to train dogs from another city. They feel like you belong and that you're connected to the community. SEO, to where people, when they search, they're going to find you. You can have the best website in the world, but if nobody finds it, it don't mean nothing. And then Facebook ads. And so you can create, if you're really having fun with this and being strategic, you can create an amazing, like, 5, 10, 15, 20 video series campaign that introduces you to the entire community. And when you roll in, everybody's like, oh, it's Angela. Gotta check your name again. I got short-term memory issues. It's Angela. Oh, I've seen her videos. She's really nice. She's really friendly. She does great work with dogs. And all of a sudden, you're off and running. So I hope that helps. It's strategically, like, I want you to think big picture like that. I hope that helps. There's definitely ways to move into markets without being there. And the bigger your brand, the bigger your awareness, the more perception that people have of you being a valuable trainer, somebody who can do great work, somebody who's nice, warm, friendly, and that they want to be involved with, the more people are going to hire you. And you could even have a waiting list before you get there. It could even be something where people are calling and they're like, yeah, you know, I saw your videos. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to be there in a month and a half. I'm happy to put you on the waiting list. And as soon as I get down there, we'll jump right in and get you going. Like, imagine that, a waiting list before you show up. So anyways, that is my advice to you, Angela. And we're only on question number 4. So it's time for me to get out of here. I wish you the best of luck. All right. All right, guys. So obviously, nothing's changed. I'm still long in the tooth. Ladon, I'm back. Anybody who doesn't know that joke, yes, we all know what long in the tooth means, and we know that it doesn't mean that I'm slow. It means old. Anyways, so let's try and see if we can haul some ass here. Okay, so Missy, this is question number 5. This is from the Good Dog page. Missy's got separation anxiety. Well, Missy doesn't have separation anxiety. Her dog does. She's got an impact crate, which is badass because that's the crates, or those are the crates that we use. They're some of the best out there, and we've had incredibly good luck with those crates, even with really nasty crate breakers. So I'm going to reiterate what I shared earlier with the other owner who had the German Shepherds with separation anxiety. And our separation anxiety protocols are really pretty straightforward. But I want you to see if you can get your mind wrapped really around this. I'm going to try and do it like really concise. Dog comes in, right? This is your dog, so he's already come in. But as soon as you start to say, okay, I'm going to interact with you in a different way, we're going to change things. Things are going to be different. You start looking for your dog being bratty, pushy, intense, pushing boundaries, disregarding, being on autopilot. And when those moments happen, you nail them. What do you mean I nail them? Yes, you correct your dog for any of that stuff, and that starts to switch the relationship dynamic, which starts to get the dog out of the mindset of like, I don't want to be in the crate, I'm scared of being in the crate, whatever it might be. Dogs sometimes don't like it, dogs sometimes are nervous about it, dogs sometimes are panicky, dogs sometimes are scared of it. But what will happen is if you do the protocols right, the dog will learn to impede whatever that response or wherever it's coming from, and be able to work through it. We see it time and time and time and time again. I can't tell you how many dogs come in that are, you know, not crate trained, and there's no way you'll get them in the crate, and then 2 days later they're like diggy diggy dig, in and out of the crate, diggy diggy dig. Like, those are my crate sound effects. So first of all, change your relationship if you haven't already. Be firm, be non-negotiable, and lay down the freaking law, and don't take any monkey business. That'll create leverage. Beyond that, you've got the impact crate. Let's see, did you say anything else? Yep, you didn't say anything else. So that means that I would get, once again, back on an e-collar. I would e-collar technologies, mini educator. I want to say it's under $200 off of Amazon, and get a camera, get some kind of surveillance system so you can watch the dog. And all you want to do is just hang out somewhere where you know you're not too far away, and that will still elicit the response of separation anxiety from your dog. And as soon as you start to see, like most owners, they feel bad about the separation anxiety, and I get it. The dog's scratching, the dog's biting. The last thing they want to do is correct. What owners don't understand is that correction will actually interrupt that anxiety spiral. It's so uncomfortable for your dog to be in a space where they're like, ah, and everybody's like, what, you're going to correct a dog that's already afraid or worried? Yes. It's what people don't get. It's the part that people are unfortunately, or have unfortunately been sold a lot of BS about. If you correct a dog in a crate that's worried about the crate, they're only going to get worse. I keep waiting for it. Why? And I'm not being cocky. I don't understand why we're not seeing those dogs. Why are these dogs being corrected in the crate with e-collar corrections, sometimes at higher levels for being really out of their tree, and all they do is get better? It's fascinating. So don't let any of the rhetoric, don't let any of the silliness lead you astray. I know there's plenty of people watching this right now. I know Gidget Hall, who does a lot of rescue work. I know that working through separation anxiety with her dog pretty much went down this exact same path, and she has gotten her dogs to an incredibly different space. So big shout out to Gidget. It just works. So it might be counterintuitive, correcting a dog in a crate for something they're worried about, but you can actually break that cycle and get a dog to like relax. The part people don't get is that a well done correction at the right level with the right timing actually like creates this rather than creates this. Typically, if you've got a dog that's going up, 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 it means you're too low on the e-collar or whatever tool you're using, and you're chasing. You're not capping a behavior, you're chasing. So bringing out some of the old school stuff. Anyways, so I hope that that helps. Okay, let me wrap this and get on to question number 6. All right. All right. As I hinted at before, we're at question number 6. This is also from the Good Dog page, and this is Rachel. Rachel's got a very simple question. Thank God. That question is, what to do about a dog that barks when she's not home? This is a very common one, and there are actually several people under her comment that were like, yeah, that would be a great one for him to answer. I struggle with the same thing. And I think Rachel or somebody else was saying something funny about like they offer, you know, chocolates and candies to their neighbors in order to pacify them. So that's not the strategy I'm going to recommend. You can send me chocolate and see what we get. Maybe I'll be able to give you some more coaching. But beyond that, this is a really simple one. There's only one way to correct a dog in your absence. There's no magic. There's no like sending brainwaves. There's no like, you know, giving them a frozen Kong with a bunch of goodies in it. Dogs, you know, that are like wanting to bark or upset or anxious and barking when you're gone, they don't give a crap about it. You can leave them with toys, and you can leave them with bones, and you can leave them with bully sticks, and you can leave them with frozen Kongs, and you can leave them with a T-bone freaking steak. Doesn't matter. They're stressed, they're anxious, they're worried, or they just freaking don't like being in the crate. So there's only one way to fix that, because you're not there. So the only way you can do it is through an automatic mechanism, and that's through a bark collar. And anybody who's like, oh no, not a bark collar, I'm not going to shock my... then you better start investing in chocolate. Start investing in Godiva, because the only way to get through a dog barking in your absence is to have a consequence attached to that barking. And there's no way to attach a consequence to the barking if you're not there. It's just simple physics. It's a simple game, guys. So now, finding a great bark collar, that's a little more challenging. So I'd say the two best that I've found on the market are the Garmin Bark Limiter, which is a pretty easy collar to use. And if it still works the same way as it used to, you've got a setting between 1 through 5, and I think it's got the bark odometer, which sounds really funny and cheesy, but the bark odometer, basically when you come back home, you can turn it off, and then it tells you how many times your dog has barked in your absence. And so if you're set at like number 2 on the correction level, and your dog has like barked once, you're like, cool, that's great. If you're at number 2 and your dog has barked 150 times, not so cool. We need to come up some levels and see if we can find a level that your dog cares about more to where it inhibits the barking. So we've got the Garmin, and then also Sport Dog. I know a lot of people have had good luck with Sport Dog bark collars or no bark collars. So that would be the recommendation. Keep it super simple. But if you're worried about hurting your dog's feelings or making your dog upset or anything like that, you're probably going to struggle with continuous barking. It's just, guys, like, let's keep life simple. We all run by consequences, or our lives are all run by consequences. They're all dictated by consequences. And if they aren't in place, then behavior just continues. It's really as simple as that. So the only thing that I want to make, the only thing I want to suggest and remind you about, and a little kind of caveat with the bark collars, is do not set them to automatic escalation. That's the one thing I don't want you to do. I want you to set it at a level and leave it, and then come back and check it, and you can always adjust it later that day, or the next day, whatever. But I don't want you to set it to where, a lot of collars have settings to where it starts at 1, your dog barks, and he barks again, goes to 2, and your dog gets corrected at a higher level. And what can happen is your dog can start to cycle. And so your dog can get into a space where it's like, bark, bark, ah, right? So I'm doing a really bad impersonation, but basically, bark, correction, another bark in response to the correction, and then correction goes higher, another bark, louder, correction goes higher, and it just goes and goes and goes until your dog gets into a panicky thing. So that's why I like to start on just a very organic, low level, and just start finding out what works for your dog. Ask your neighbors. Tell them, like, hey, no chocolate in it for you this time, but just tell me if my dog's barking or not. I've got a bark collar on him, and see what you get. Or you can throw some chocolate in and sweeten the deal. So that's it. I hope that helps. It's really a simple fix. All right? All right. I feel like we're finally making some progress here. I mean, we got over the 6 hump, so, right? We're in the home stretch, so to speak. Okay, this is question number 7. And this is from the Sean O'Shea page, which sounds really cheesy, but it's like, sorry, it's my personal page. Like, I don't mean it to be like, you know, anyways. The Sean O'Shea page. So this is from Jessica. Jessica wants to know about using a marker when teaching out for her dog. So apparently she's got some kind of resource guarding stuff going on, and she wants to teach her dog out. Her question is, if I get him to out, I'm not sure if she's using an e-collar, I can't remember, e-collar or prong collar, hopefully an e-collar because it works way better, that once the dog outs, and remember guys, this is so critical, this goes for Jessica and everybody else, you don't want your dog to just go out and then sit over it like that. That's not out. That's reach for that and I'll bite your hand off. So what you want is, I'm doing a good impersonation, out, and if your dog doesn't back away enough, out with another tap, your dog moves further away. You want physical disengagement and you want mental disengagement. You want your dog to completely let go of whatever that object was in both capacities, to where your dog's in a neutral state, not a competitive mind kind of state, which can be dangerous and get you hurt. So super important that you think about that. That's something I've seen a lot of people get themselves in trouble with. They've asked their dog to out, the dog's dropped something, and then they think because he dropped it, they can grab it. No, 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 no. If a dog is leaning over something like this, they're guarding it. So you can actually teach a dog to out, and we've done it many times, but you can teach a dog to out several feet. You can like out, and the dog is like, oh, they're trying to figure it out. They're like, oh, okay, I need to move a little further away, a little further away. You can teach them to move away 2, 3, 4 feet and leave it at that. Or you can say out, then send them to place. And then you've got 0 problems. The dog is completely outed, completely disengaged, and everything's very safe. So that's just one thing I really wanted for you and everybody else to really wrap your heads around, because I don't want anybody getting hurt teaching their dogs out. And I think it's probably the easiest one to make a mistake on, because the dog does an activity where they spit out the thing that you don't want, but they don't actually mentally and physically disengage from it. And without that, it's Dangerville. Okay, so do we mark it? Yes. I don't mark it with a good boy. I mark it so if it's out, the dog starts to move away, Good. Flat neutral. It's just information, right? And if you're doing comprehensive training with your dog, that good or yes or whatever you use should have some value to your dog. So your dog's got his food bowl. Let's just say it's food. And your dog loves to guard his food. He's like, you say, out. He doesn't want to come out. You dial up a little bit. Out. Moves away. But he's like, and he's looking at you. Out. And then you see the ears go back and the dog changes and relaxes. Oh, wow, it took 3 corrections, right? But all of a sudden your dog's in a different state. The moment you see that, good. That's when you, it's not even a reward, it's just a communication. It's just saying, I like what you did. Now, if you've got a dangerous, pushy, bratty, snotty, tough as nails dog, I'm going to lean in a firmer fashion. I'm going to say, out. If I need to come up, roll up, out. And as soon as he moves away into the right space, good. And that'll be it. But if I've got a dog that's in a pretty good space and working with me and doing the dance and learning, oh, I've got to let go of this and I've got to disengage and I'm not pushing boundaries and I'm not giving like evil eyes or anything like that or hard stares, then I might even use some food. So then I might say, out. Dog backs away. It starts to do the dance. It looks good. I don't mean the dance of like the doggy dance. I mean like the dance of compliance. So out, dog moves away. Good. Then I've marked it. I walk over, give some food, give some kind of like maybe a higher value thing or their kibble. And the dog's like, oh, cool. This is a cool game. Now the thing with out, do it too many times and the dog's like, I know what you want. You don't want me to go anywhere near the food, so I'll just stay away. So try and just do a few reps and then wrap it and then do a few reps the next day. But just realize if you go exceptionally high levels, quick, early on, and you don't give the dog any guidance, like when you're teaching out, just like I was saying to the person earlier about e-collar work, when I teach out, I don't just say out. I say out and I guide them away with the leash. They need to know what to do. They need to know how to take this information they're feeling here, how to process it, and how to succeed, how to win the game. So out, or if I'm pressing and holding, it depends on the dog. Out, guide the dog away, dog moves out of the way, good. If I want to reward with food, I reward with food. And that's basically how it looks. And I've got a couple videos, and Jeff Gellman's got a couple videos, and a lot of trainers have videos on out, so you can kind of scope it out, see what you like the best, and kind of, you know, borrow from different places and see what floats your boat. But yes, you can definitely use a marker. Your big question, sorry, I'm really belaboring this, but your question was, is it going to cause him to re-engage? Most likely the only way it would cause him to re-engage is if you said out. Also, if your relationship wasn't rocking and rolling, that would make it really easy for your dog to give you a hard time. But if you said out, and your dog moves away, and you're like, good boy! And then your dog's like, aha! And then moves in. So that's why I want you to say out, good. Even when you give the food, give it neutral. Don't make it a fucking party. Just good. Let your dog just like learn. Let your dog learn. These are the boundaries. I just marked it. I just told you it was good. I like that thing that you just did. Here's a reward with food. Don't get nutty. Don't get disrespectful. Don't push boundaries just because I'm giving you a good thing. If you start to see your dog pushing back, pull back and give them less soft stuff. Give them less reward. Give them less of an exchange of something good. Attitude, demeanor is the entire puzzle here. So if a dog is sweet, easygoing, deferential, looking to succeed, but maybe has some bad habits, I'm going to go really soft, really easy. I'm going to try and meet him halfway and try and make this a very easy thing. If a dog is like, and I've trained plenty of dogs that had resource guarding that was severe and that had injured people, sent people to the hospital, I don't mess around with those dogs. Those dogs need to learn, you get away from whatever this object is, and this is non-negotiable. And if you give me any pushback, it's going to get really firm, right? So attitude, demeanor, what you get back from your dog should dictate a lot of how you approach it. And the marker, just to wrap this up, is fine as long as it's neutral and as long as it works. Just always look for what works. All right? Hope that helps. Okay, where the hell are we? I've got like, look at these notes. A lot of notes. Guys, you know me. I can't remember anything if I don't write things down. Okay, so we just hit Jessica at number 7. Now we are really officially in the home stretch. So this is from Instagram. Question number 8. And this is from T. Coven. She wants to know, or he wants to know, she said that you've said, Sean, in the past not to overuse the dog's name for commands. So, but she says she's got, I think it's a female, that she's got a multi-dog household, and how does she create distinctions about which dog she's talking to? It's a really good question. So what I'm mainly saying when I talk about don't use the dog's name too much, it's that coffee. I can't do it. It's pushing back against the whole thing of like, let's use Francis. It's always Francis. That's always our like mystery dog. Francis, come. Good boy. Francis, place. Francis, sit. Francis, down. Good boy, Francis. Right? That. I don't want that. That's unnecessary conversation. That's unnecessary words. And honestly, I think it presents you in kind of like a weak, soft, is it supplicating? I think so. Supplicating kind of like space. And that might sound weird, like why would using the name? Because it almost sounds like you're just asking too much, trying too hard. It's like the person that's like, hey, how are you doing? You good, Jamie? Yeah, great. That's great, Jamie. And like if you use the person's name over and over and over again, they're like, why are you using my name so much? So I would get away from that once the dog's engaged with you. So now that explains what I'm looking for as far as the big picture. And the big picture is don't use the dog's name unnecessarily. Now, if you got a room full of dogs, same thing for me. If I'm training a bunch of dogs, or if I've got Belle, or I don't have Belle anymore. If I've got Manny, Malu, or any other dogs, then I will definitely use their name to call them. And if I'm going to say no to a specific dog, I will definitely say, Malu, no. I want her to know I'm talking to her, right? But then I'm not going to be like, Malu, no. Malu, come. Malu, place. Malu, down. Do you see the distinction? That's what I want to get away from. I want to get away from overusing the name when it's super unnecessary. It's just a bunch of words, and it's just like adding more noise to your dog's world, and it's just really unnecessary. So let's get rid of that. But if you've got a house full of dogs, you do need to create some distinctions about who you're talking to, whether it's giving a command or giving a correction. Make sure that the dogs know. Like, you don't want to just yell out no, and all your dogs like, which one of us was it? You know, you want to be able to say, Francis, no. And there's all this talk, and you know, like in these books of like, don't use the dog's name and no. Like, dogs are just fine. Dogs are just fine with learning that you're talking to them and telling them no. Their worlds, character, and self-esteem aren't crushed by that. Just a little heads up on that. Okay, was there another question? Oh yeah, this is a great one. I love this one. This is also from T. Coven, and the question is, the dog is more attentive with the leash and prong on, being like, she allows the dog to wear the leash and prong when she's home supervising, and allows the dog to drag it around in the house, so that way if she needs to correct or influence or anything like that, she's able to. And her question, which I love, is dog is more attentive when the leash and prong is on. Why is that? My answer is, we find it. Sorry. Okay, yeah, sorry. I totally killed that joke. It's not even a joke, but just the response, bad timing. Okay, so with the leash and prong on, I'm getting better attention, better focus, better responses in general. So my question is, how do you drive when a cop pulls up behind you? Just keep it simple. Keep it simple, keep it clear. And then if you really do a little bit of just thinking about why your behavior changes, you'll know exactly why your dog's behavior changes, right? So, cop pulls up behind us, we start driving differently, more alert, as you would say, more focused, more tuned in, more aware of what we're doing. That's because we're aware that the policeman behind us can issue consequences for us making poor choices or breaking rules. Your dog, without the leash and prong on, is like, the cop just pulled off the freeway. I'm aces. Put the leash and prong on, the cop just pulled on the freeway. And your dog's like, ooh, I gotta mind my manners. I gotta be at my best to make sure that I don't have to deal with any consequences. And if anybody's like, oh my God, that's creating like fearful dogs. No. Are you afraid to drive your car? Are you afraid to like whatever that might have some kind of like legal ramifications? No, of course not. As long as you're behaving yourself, right? If you're doing 120 down the freeway, then yeah, you should be concerned. But otherwise, I hope that this analogy makes some sense to you guys, that we all behave differently when there's consequences involved. We all behave differently when there's authority presences involved, and we all behave differently when they disappear. And so that's why you're seeing different attention, different focus, different behavior. It's not anything magic. It's just your dog's smart, and your dog's like, oh, mom can correct me when these tools are on, and when they're not, she probably can't, right? So, hope that helps. Okay, gang, we are officially in the home stretch. I think nine definitely qualifies as the home stretch. I'm kind of gussied up for you guys. Like, I was really unshaven. You know, it's been a rough week. I got cleaned up, got a little dressed up, the right hat on, the jacket, just trying to bring it back. So, and trying to fight through the depressing stuff. Anyways, so I think I'm hanging in there okay. And let's move on before I say anything that makes me teary-eyed. Okay, so this is from Instagram, and this is from Erica F333. She says her e-collar dog is great in apartment, bad in hallway. And if I remember right, what she was saying was that she could do all sorts of commands inside of her apartment on e-collar. The dog was aces. But as soon as she went out in the hallway and started working with the dog, like taking him out for a walk or whatever, she was finding that the dog was super unresponsive. She was finding that the dog wouldn't down when she asked. She would try and use the food morsel, and sometimes that would help, sometimes it wouldn't. And so she's trying to figure out what's cooking. What's cooking is a really, really, really fundamental, foundational, and I don't mean this to hard time you, I mean to like just empower you and everybody else, that in your apartment, I would venture to guess that your dog feels pretty darn safe. I would venture to guess that distractions, and I don't mean like birds flying by or, you know, the TV on or things like that. I mean like bona fide distractions, like strangers and, you know, other dogs coming down the hallway or slamming doors or things like that. I'd say that the distractions in your apartment are probably pretty low. Not to mention your dog probably feels pretty comfortable in your apartment. So what ends up happening is you've created a very safe kind of cocoon to train your dog in, and your dog's like, cool, I can really succeed in here, I can excel in here. You go out in the hallway and all that changes, because now your dog's worried, now your dog's concerned, or your dog's excited, or your dog's amped up, or your dog's anticipating another dog. I don't know your dog well enough to know where he's coming from, but something in that, you know, in that realm, you know, from one end of the spectrum to the other is happening. And what that creates is a dog who knows how to do commands really well in certain contexts, which is why we proof dogs so thoroughly in so many different environments so we know they can succeed everywhere. Because what you're getting is, you're getting a dog who's like, I can do it here, but out here, and it could be bratty. It could be like, I'm excited and I'm going for a walk and screw you. Or it could be, I'm outside in the hallway and I'm a little nervous and I'm a little worried about this, and you're asking me to down. I don't feel super safe. Now, I'm not of the mindset to say, and a lot of people would be like, oh, poor baby doesn't feel safe downing in the hallway, don't make them do that. I would go the opposite direction. I would say, oh, okay, so my dog doesn't feel, or is either too excited or is not confident enough to down in the hallway. I would push against both of those because I want to impede the excitement, and I want to teach the dog that no matter how excited you get, you still listen to me and you still listen to the training. Or if the dog is nervous, insecure, and fearful, I want the dog once again to listen to the training and impede the fearful, nervous responses so we can build them up and get the best. That's what's so cool about this, is that you don't have to augment the training to some dramatic level. It's really the same concept. The concept is, listen to the training, don't listen to your pushiness, brattiness, excitement, or your nervousness, anxiety, fear, things like that. It's really that simple. So if you're getting trouble out in the hallway, dial up on your e-collar. I think, if I'm not mistaken, from the notes that I remember reading, you were saying that you were, instead of coming up on the e-collar, trying to leverage food to get the dog to do what you're looking for. Don't do that. Don't bribe your dog that already knows the command to try and get them to do the down. And some people, I get it, some people have got really soft hearts and they're like, I don't want to dial up, I just want to see if I can do it with food. That's fine, but what you're going to create, and I don't mean you, I just mean the universal you, you're going to create an unreliable dog. What you're looking for is a dog that when you ask for a down, or you ask for a heel, or you ask for a sit, or you ask for whatever it is, or a recall, your dog gives it to you no matter what's going on, because they're listening to the training, they're listening to you, and your relationship is in a really healthy space. If you're not getting that, then that means that your relationship is not in a really healthy space, and your dog is not listening to the training, your dog is listening to whatever is going on in its own mind, and that's largely a byproduct of that being allowed. And if you don't get anything else from this little moment, take that. Because, and I don't mean like take that, I mean take that and run with it, because the allowing part is what's going to allow your dog to stay stuck, whether it's pushy and bratty or nervous and insecure. Don't allow it. Ask more, demand more, push more, to where your dog can become more confident, or more chilled out, more relaxed, more respectful. All right? Hope that helps. Okay, so this is question number 10, and this is from Instagram, and it's a really interesting name. Strength despite size is the handle for this Instagram account. Now, here we go. The owner's Kelpie pins dogs whenever a dog next to the Kelpie does like a shakedown. You know, where dogs will like start at the tail and work their way up, or start at the top and work their way down to their rear. Whatever it is, the Kelpie disagrees with it. The Kelpie then will lunge, jump on the other dog, and pin the other dog. Right? So, that is extremely, exceptionally crappy, bratty behavior. Now, I think that she says that her dog is in a really great space in all other realms. I think she said she's done prong collar work and e-collar work. I don't know if she's still using the tools or not. I don't think there was real clarity as far as like if she's still using them. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that if this behavior is going on and you want to change it, then let's get the tools back on so we can address it and change it. So if it was my Kelpie and I knew that my Kelpie had a predisposition to disapproving of shaking dogs, I would make sure that I had an e-collar on my dog and probably a prong collar, because I like to be prepared and I like to have a leg up and I like to have leverage, and I don't like my dog getting the drop on me, right? And I would hope none of you would want that either. So I'm out, like, set it up, get another one of your friend's dogs in the water. So they come out of the water and they do a little shake off, something like that. Now, she said that it's never resulted in a fight. It's just been a pin, but it's never resulted in a bloodbath or a fight. The reality is, if her Kelpie does this enough times and does it to the wrong dog, there will be a fight and there will be a bloodbath. And if the Kelpie picks the wrong dog, the Kelpie could end up in a lot of trouble. The Kelpie could end up severely injured. So, or the Kelpie could go after a smaller dog and severely damage the smaller dog. I'm not saying that'll happen. I'm just saying that, like, when you see crappy behavior over and over again, it typically doesn't go like this. It typically goes like this. What's allowed increases. So if it was my Kelpie doing this stuff, like I said, prong collar on, e-collar on, set up the situation as best I can. If I don't have the opportunity to set it up, I'll just be on my game. I will just be so ready for shenanigans. And what'll happen is, because I don't want to start a fight with the owner, with the with the dog, is that if another dog shakes and my Kelpie goes after the other dog, I'm going to calmly say no, loud enough for the dogs to hear. I want my dog to hear that no loud and clear, but I don't want it to be no. I want it to just be no. I want it to be firm but relaxed, chilled out. I don't want to add any fuel to the fire. Then I'm going to use the prong collar and I'm going to pop the dog off of the other dog, right? And you better cross your fingers that the other dog's not like, and now I'm going to go clean your clock, because then you're really in trouble. Hopefully the other dog's like, geez, what happened? So prong collar pop, boom. So you've marked it with a no, you've popped with the prong collar saying, knock that crap off, and then ID collar correct. And that might sound like, wow, that's really severe. Maybe, but your dog's being a jackass. Your dog is being super unfair, and your dog's going to get its clock cleaned by another dog, or is going to damage another dog. And let's say none of that ever happened. Your dog's being an a-hole. And it might be a great dog, might be a fun dog, might be like splendid in a multitude of fashions and contexts. But this one thing is super crappy. And I think you know that. And I would highly suggest that if you want to get rid of the super crappy, because I have yet to see a dog who's got a super crappy behavior that lives in a vacuum. It's almost always, I'm really struggling hard to try and remember one that doesn't have it somewhere else. It's really hard to have a dog that's got some kind of an attitude and an empowerment, entitlement kind of thing of like, I correct dogs, and not have that kind of leak out in other spaces. And you may not see it, but you may get it in other dog stuff later on down the line. But you know what? The reality is, like, I can sit here and like, and what's the word? Anticipate or try and, like, you know, read into the, like, you know, the magic 8-ball or the genies, whatever the hell genies have. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that your dog's doing a crappy thing. Let's stop it. Let's keep other dogs safe, and let's get your dog to be the best dog they can be. Simple as that. Prong collar on, e-collar on, set up the situation. Dog goes after the other dog. No. Pop, bang with the e-collar, and I mean at a high level. Don't monkey around. Don't make this happen 100 times. Make it something like, honestly, if it was my dog and my dog had this predisposition to go after other dogs, not only would I do the prong collar pop, I'd roll up high, depending on what collar I'm on, mini educator, I might go to 100 and I might press and hold for a few seconds and really, really, really try and put an exclamation point on that, because I don't want to battle my dog and I don't want to correct my dog 100,000 times. I want to have a correction once or twice and my dog go, you know what, that whole like jumping on other dogs and pinning them, it's about the crappiest thing in the world. The consequence attached to that, I'm super not into it. That's what you're looking for. So no excuses about I can't find the timing. No excuses about it doesn't work or I don't have the tools. You've got the tools, the timing, as long as you mark it, your aces, and set it up. Don't just wait for life to drop like a, you know, doggy bomb in your lap. Set it up. Get a wet dog next to your dog. Be ready for it. Stay calm, cool, collected. No, nail your dog. Correct with the e-collar. Give them a nice combo, like boom, boom. And your dog's like, I don't want to do that anymore. You've got crappy behavior. Let's get rid of it. Let's make your dog a really, really great dog. So what's allowed continues. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode of Q&A number 144. Guys, it is actually really nice to be back. I wish it was under better circumstances. I've tried to be as jovial and light and easygoing as possible. But truth be told, it's heavy heart time and working through it. And like I said, I appreciate all your support. And I know in a few days I'll be a lot better. But I miss that little girl a ton. And yeah, so we'll be okay. Anyways, have a great week. I probably won't be able to do Q&A Saturday next weekend because I'll be in Seattle with Canine Intervention. But who knows? Maybe me and Ashley will do one and find some way to make it happen. Otherwise, I will just see you guys hopefully the week after that. And hopefully you enjoy this show because it's a long one. And but I wanted to get to as many questions as possible. So, all right, you guys take care, and I'll see you guys next week.